All right. Hello and welcome everyone. It is mid-December. It is almost Christmas time, and I wanted to put on my Christmas hat because why not? We all like Christmas, so I'm going to wear my Christmas hat. So welcome all to our amazing webinar with our guest here. We have Tiago. So Tiago and I have been working together for about a little over a year now. We actually know each other from Innovating with AI, which is a community that both of us joined that is by Rob Howard. Rob has started this community, I don't know, about a year and a half ago. So we were the second cohort to actually join, and we're really excited as we met a little. Like I said, we met about a year ago, and from there we grew up in the business together. We both started learning about AI, really understanding like, hey, this is how to help people. And then from there, yeah, we've just kind of both been growing ourselves. And Tiago's been doing some amazing things. He's going to tell us a little bit about some of the projects he's been building, but he's been doing a lot of different stuff with quite a few AI tools. And we started talking about what AEO. This was about over 6 months ago when you first asked Rob about AEO versus SEO and what it's going to change. So Tiago has been interested in this topic for quite some time, and he has a background in SEO a little bit. I'm sure he'll go over here in a second. So thank Tiago for hopping in. And I know this is being recorded, obviously, but here I'm going to share my screen and kind of just walk you through where it's going to be stored. So all of you, obviously, if you're here, you do have access to my school community. So thanks for joining and thanks for looking. So this is today where we're going to talk about AEO and the difference between that and SEO and how to optimize your website. Now we do have an upskilling event coming here in a couple days. So a lot of people really like the LinkedIn session that I did last Friday. So I'm just going to do the part two of that. I was going to record the other five personally, but a bunch of people said that they missed it and they would be interested in joining and learning more. So I'm just going to do the LinkedIn part two and finish all those prompts that I didn't get to last week. And then on the 23rd, we do have Aniko, who is on this call right now. So her and I are actually going to be talking about Lovable. So if you're interested in what Lovable is and what that can do, please join us next week. It's a week from now in the afternoon for me. These are mountain times. So afternoon for me. So that would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 5 hours from now, next week, Tuesday. And where everything is going to be recorded is here in the classroom. So once it is recorded, I'm just going to pop it in the classroom. So we have the master classes, and it will just be listed right here. So after the LinkedIn number two, then we'll see the AEO webinar. All right. So thank you all for joining. And at this point, I am really excited to bring Mr. Tiago in to talk a little bit about AEO. Tiago, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Dan, for having me. It's awesome to be here with everybody. I like that we're a little bit of a smaller group, I was going to say. So, we are a smaller group. I usually tell people, hold your questions until the end, but Dan is going to be watching the chat for us. And so if you do have a question, go ahead and send it in. Dan can always interrupt me and jump in, and we can really make it a little bit more of a conversation. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we will go from there. All right. So again, good morning. As Dan was mentioning, my name is Thiago Ferreira, and the name of my company is Elevate AI Consulting, where I'm the founder and owner. And to me, what that means is that I'm an AI consultant, right? And as an AI consultant, I'm doing a few different things. Number one, I consider myself an AI educator, so I'm doing a lot of events like this. I do a lot of corporate trainings. I have my signature AI training bootcamp, which is one of the main things that I do. Working with a lot of companies in leadership and just high schools, colleges, you name it, I'm there. And on the other hand, I am an automations consultant. So I'm working usually directly with the leadership of companies, developing solutions, AI agents, automations, AEO, as we're going to talk about today. So, any of the things that are really trendy right now in the world of AI, I probably do it. And I do have my LinkedIn on there. I will share it again at the end. So if you don't want to stay in touch, you don't have to decide right now. We can can date a little bit and get to know each other here for the next hour before we make it LinkedIn official, right? So
Hey,
let
you're married. Come on. Stop trying to get dates here. All right.
yeah, that's not like that, not like that. So we are obviously here today to talk about AEO, which stands for Answer Engine Optimization. You may have heard it called GEO as well, which is Generative Answer Optimization. You may have heard it called just AI search, which is totally fine. The industry hasn't exactly picked a single term yet for it. We'll see which one wins out, like SEO did at the end. But the reason for that is that traditional SEO or search engine optimization has long been the foundation of online visibility, right? As we know, the old saying goes that if you're not on the first page of Google results, or at least, or even better, within those first few results, your company basically is not foundable or you don't exist, right? People rarely go past that first page of Google. And that user journey traditionally has involved a user going into Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo or any other search engine, actually typing in their query, and then clicking around, right? Looking through the internet, exploring different web pages. And that has been the user journey of search throughout most of the history of the internet as we remember it. But the landscape has shifted dramatically. Now we're all using all of these different AI tools. Google itself, even on the actual Google search page, now provides an actual AI overview to searches. And so that changes the experience completely of what it's like to be online and what it's like to search for information, right? And so that is why answer engine optimization is such a big topic right now. So really, what it is, if you think of, let's start from the very basic, right? Why is it called answer engine optimization, right? Because if we really think about it, ChatGPT and Gemini and all these other tools, they are answer engines, right? We're going to them, we are asking a question, and they are generating an answer. And so that is the difference from Google, traditional Google, right? That you're going in, you're searching for something, and it's not really giving you the answer, it's giving you a lot of results for you to continue your search. With ChatGPT, it is an answer engine. And it's literally scouring the internet for you and all the information that it has and generating a unique answer to your prompts. So the purpose of answer engine optimization is to optimize your content so that ChatGPT and all of these other tools can understand it as easily as possible, can extract the information from your website as easily as possible, and then cite you or your brand or your product as the answer that it gives to consumers, right? So it's really the strategy of that. What that looks like is what we're going to be talking about over the next few slides. Structured data, concise answers, everything that we're about to go over. And to measure success, that's a little bit actually of the trickier part, but you're really measuring success not by how you rank on a Google page, but by how many times ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these other tools actually cite you or your brand or your product as the answer when consumers ask a related question, right? So that is really what it is. To really, really simplify it, you're just trying to be the answer when ChatGPT gives, tells a consumer something that they asked that is related to your product, right? You just want to be the one. Let's understand a little bit what are the differences, right? Because I've heard some people say that AEO is essentially just SEO with a few extra steps. I would argue that that's actually not true. They're both very complementary, as we're going to talk about, but completely different. But let's just understand the differences, right? So for traditional SEO, the primary channels are obviously Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, etc. For AEO, we're talking about the little AI overviews that you get on Google now when you do search for something on Google. We're talking about Gemini answers, ChatGPT, Perplexity, but we're also talking about voice assistants. We're talking about Siri. We're talking about Alexa. We're talking about all of these different ones that people are using that are essentially just giving one answer, right, about something when people ask. And the goal of AEO, as we mentioned, is to be cited as the answer to those queries versus SEO, where you're just basically trying to rank as high as possible on the search rankings, right? So there's a huge difference right there. And if you've been in the online world for a while and optimizing for SEO, you've probably been told a million times to write long form content and include a lot of different keywords in your content, write a bunch of blogs. And those things are still relevant. However, remember I said, we want to make our information as easy for the bots to find and cite us as possible, right? So with AEO, we're actually looking for shorter answer, question-driven answers, which we're going to talk about what that means in a few slides, FAQs, organizational structure, clear heading. So we really, again, want to make it as easy as possible for our page to be scanned very quickly by these AI scanning bots and be found. And again, with traditional SEO, the core signals were keywords, backlinks, and some other technical SEO aspects in the background. For AEO, it is really looking for structured data. It is looking for semantic clarity. It is looking for credibility. It is looking to see that you are actually the authority on that subject. And so that it can confidently provide you as the answer to whatever the question is being asked, right? And now, as far as the journey, this is really the part that got me really interested in this subject, right? Because it's, well, for me, it was totally mind blowing when I thought about it. Maybe I'm just kind of a nerd, maybe not everybody will relate. But as we mentioned, right, on Google, you would search for something, you would get a bunch of different results, and you would start your journey, right? You would go through different websites. Maybe if you're shopping for something, you would go to Amazon, you go to Walmart.com, you go back to Google, you find other random websites that are selling your product. So you're clicking around, you're doing research, right? But with AEO, we're moving into a zero-click journey. Think about this, right? So you may optimize your entire website for SEO and for AEO and make it the most amazing website, and not a single human may ever see it, right? Because on ChatGPT, you're asking a question, you're getting an answer, and you're moving on. It's a zero-click experience. People may never even click through to your website. Maybe they will, right? If they want to go a little bit further, if they're actually interested in what ChatGPT tells them, maybe they click through, maybe they don't click through at all. So that is the difference. It's not about optimizing for clicks. It's not about optimizing for ad placement or keywords. It is really just about making sure that your information about your company or about your product is as easy to find as possible, right? And again, with traditional SEO, we're measuring rankings, right? We're measuring your website traffic over time. We're measuring how long people spend on your website. And with our zero-click journey of the AEO, what you're actually measuring is your AI visibility score, which can be provided by companies like SEMrush or these other companies that provide that type of data. You're measuring how many times your brand has actually been cited as an answer, and you're actually tracking specific prompts. Think about this, right? But the way that you get results is, or that you track your success, is by tracking specific prompts that you want to be the answer for and figuring out how many times ChatGPT actually gave your brand as the answer to those questions. Right? So is that actually a total shift in the way that the internet works and the way that we have to design our content, thinking about the fact that a human may never see it at all. It's really content that may be just crawled by bots to be cited by these AI search engines. So it is a total change to the way that the internet experience works. But I also want to be very clear that it doesn't replace SEO, right? That's the good news and the bad news, depending on who you are, because so many people have been working. One of the main comments that I hear all the time is so many people have been working on optimizing their SEO content for so long, and now they feel like they wasted all their time because AEO is the new thing, right? And that's actually not the case. AEO is a layer on top of your SEO. In fact, the websites that rank better in ChatGPT, in Gemini, and in Perplexity, and etc., they are the ones that have good SEO also, and then add the layers of AEO on top. So the SEO is still extremely important. And one quote that I found online that I thought was interesting, and it kind of made me picture it better in my head, is that SEO is the library and AEO is the card catalog pointing the AI to the exact sentence in the book. So it's really about the structure and about SEO having all your information there. You're still optimizing for keywords. You're still gonna make your website foundable by humans, right? SEO hasn't gone anywhere yet. People are still searching on Google, but AEO is about making sure that ChatGPT knows exactly which line to look in your website to find the information that clients are looking for. And why does it matter right now, right? So some of the data that I found, well, 77% of ChatGPT users are now using it as search. Also, this is not surprising at all. So when you think about people delegating a lot of different tasks to ChatGPT, asking it to, hey, write me a business plan, help me rewrite this email. Yes, people are still doing that, but then they've also moved on to actually using ChatGPT as a search engine. So that's 77% of users that are already in there. And the opportunity for AEO is huge, especially right now that we're still early days, right? You can still set yourself up to be a leader in that space, as I've tried to do, and really increase your visibility of your brand and of your website by at least 3 times, right? And as I mentioned, the other number that really blows my mind about all this is the 0-click era, right? I can't stress enough how much that 0-click really changes the experience that we have online, right? And the way that we have to optimize our content. So, and the one other thing here that I wanted to highlight is that um, if the old saying was that being on page 2 of Google means that you basically don't exist, right? Well, then the new one, if you're not that one answer that ChatGPT gives, or sometimes ChatGPT might give one answer and 2 options, right? If you're not one of those, then you really don't exist, right? Because where are consumers going to find you, right? And so that is the change they're facing. And actually, I was commenting to Dan right before we started the meeting. Right after this webinar, I'm going to meet with a client who found me on ChatGPT on Sunday night, and we met yesterday. And so I am generating leads from this. This is not the first client, right, Dan? I've shared with you many times, all the time, like, Dan, another one found me on ChatGPT.
Yeah, he's that's also the same reason why I decided to ask him, to come and talk is because he's been getting results. Like he's been messaging me. It's like, oh, I got this lead. I got this lead. He was just excited about it. And then I was like, this is great. Like I would love to share this, with other people. I'd love to share with the community, here, just so you guys know, like what he's doing. He's getting leads. He's getting real results, and it's super exciting, and you get a message
It is
from when I get
exciting.
those messages from you. I love it.
And it's exciting on the other side too, because I always make sure when I get a call from a client, I always ask, hey, where did you find me? Right? Like, did you Google? And when people tell me that they found me on ChatGPT, they're excited about it too. You know what I mean? They're like, oh man, I found you on ChatGPT. I searched like 3 different ways and you came up as one of either the top or one of the top answers every single time. So then I knew that you were the one that I had to call, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so amazing, and they're excited because it's also something new for them, and so it's still a really cool moment where we can take advantage of this, right, and set ourselves up as leaders in this space, even against some of the most giant companies that are out there investing a lot in this as well. The playing field is really even right now as long as you just take the time to actually optimize it for this, right?
I
And
think,
so,
real quick, I think one of the big differences between like the large companies and the SMBs is the large companies have thousands and thousands of websites. So it's a lot harder for them to pivot to something like AEO or to optimize because they have a lot of work that they have to do. So the smaller companies, the ones that can move, the ones that can turn quickly, they're the ones that can change their websites, optimize it a little bit. And then now, smaller companies don't have millions of dollars to rank number one on Google or to be able to use that money for keyword ad spend. So now it's not about keyword ad spend. It's not about how much money you can spend to be number one sponsored or something like that on Google. It's about who has the best content. And obviously, Thiago is going to talk a little bit more about this. So this is where the small people can win. And that's what I love. It's like, how can the small businesses really compete with these large businesses? And right now, like before the large companies really get on AEO, right now is the time. And that's why we're sharing.
now is the time, exactly. So, what I would like to do for the rest of the time that we have here, we're going to go through some of the core components, what AEO looks like. And then I want to actually show you what that looks like on my website. So, as I was talking about in the beginning, I did a lot of work on my website in order to rebuild the entire thing from an AEO perspective first. So I want to go through the components, then go through what that actually looks like on a real website, so that you guys can get a better idea of what that entails, right? And core component number one, and I want us to think about this a little bit, it is actually FAQs and question-based content, right? And this matters because, again, let's go back to one of the first things that I said, right? Why is it called AEO? Why is it called answer engine optimization? Well, because it's literally generating answers to the prompts that people are asking, right? So how do you optimize your content for that? Well, you anticipate what those questions can be and you have them on your website so that when a consumer or a possible client asks a question that's related to your product or your brand, you already have an answer to that question on your website, and ChatGPT or the Google bots can find it within milliseconds if you have it properly formatted. So that means structuring your content properly, keeping your content actually really short, so breaking your content into bullet points or shorter paragraphs. And Another thing that I've personally done is added on most of my pages these little blocks that I'm calling them TLDR blocks, which is essentially just a summary of everything that's on the page. So I have uh, the TLDR block, which is a summary of everything that's on the page. Then I have everything that's on the page. And then at the bottom of the page, I have an FAQ with questions related that are to everything that is on the page, right? So let me show you what that actually looks like. This is my website here, elevateai.com. And if we go, for example, we can go to any page, but let's go to my services page, for example. It starts right off with a TLDR block right here, which is a short summary of everything that's on the page. Then I have everything that's on the page very clearly stated. I have something here for how do our services work together. And right below it, I have FAQs related to every single one of the questions, right? Or every single one of my services, I should say. The other thing that I wanted to point out in relation to that is if you notice my headings are all questions as well. So this is the question that probably somebody could ask in ChatGPT. How do Elevate consulting services work together? Well, guess what? I have that question on my website and I have the answers, right? If we look at my homepage, it doesn't say choose us. It says why choose Elevate AI Consulting, right? Again, trying to anticipate a question that somebody may ask, right? what services do we offer? Again, trying to anticipate somebody asking, what services does Elevate AI Consulting offer? In my contact page, it says, uh, how can you get in touch? Right? So even my headings, I'm making sure to optimize them and without being like annoying and over the top, right, with it, but where it makes sense, turning those headings actually into questions. So that if somebody were to ask, how can I get in touch with Dago or how can I get in touch with Elevate AI Consulting? Guess what, ChatGPT? I have the answer to that question. I have that question and the answer for you. Very easy for you to find on my page. And then even in my contact page, for example, I have FAQs and I have all those other elements that we were talking about. So again, anticipating what those questions can be and making sure the most important element of everything that I just said is really those FAQs, right? Having FAQs on all your most important pages that are related to what's on the page is really going to make a huge difference for you. So that's component number one, and probably one of the easiest to add as well, because it's just a matter of changing some of the headings on your website. You can work with AI to generate FAQs for you, right? So you don't have to sit there and write FAQs. You can ask ChatGPT to help you with that and then just easily post it on your page. So that is probably the easiest step that people can follow in order to start optimizing their content.
No, that would work for anybody right now. So anybody could just go on
Yeah,
their website and just change the headings to questions, and that would help them. Now, not, maybe that's not going to guarantee that they're going to be number one for that question, but it'll help them right now at least a little bit, you think, right?
100%. And then definitely, like I said, working with ChatGPT or one of the other tools to help you generate FAQs about the content on your page, and then posting those FAQs, that will actually really help with your ranking, right? So that's the easiest first step right there. And then AEO component number two is just as I was mentioning before, having your content really well structured so that ChatGPT can find it. So structured headings and semantic clarity. So if you've ever written a blog or even actually in Microsoft Word, right, we have the title and headings and subheadings. That's how you want to have your document or your information organized on your website as well. So having those clear hierarchies of your content, heading one, heading two, heading three, so that not only bots, but humans as well, right? Because having the organized structure helps everybody find the information more easily. So that's already actually an SEO, even best practice that we can apply here even more to AEO. And the other things as well is not having super long blocks of text, as I mentioned. Don't bury the information inside of paragraphs. Let's have bullet points. Let's have clear headings indicating what is on those bullet points, and make sure that our content is organized in a structure that is clearly stating what the problem is, clearly stating your approach for your product or your brand in order to solve that problem or that consumer pain point, right? And linking that to results as well. So you just want to have your data really structured in that sense. And I can show you what that looks like as well. So for example, if we go to one of my blogs, this is actually the blog that I wrote about applying AEO to my website. And if we follow along, you can see that I have headings here. I have subheadings. My content for it's not long paragraphs. I have bullet points, right? Very, very short sentences. Um, and as I mentioned, just a very clear structure of my blog post itself so that ChatGPT can easily find those answers. And adding with point number one that I mentioned, right? All my blog posts have a TLDR block, which is a little summary of what my blog is about. And then guess what I have at the end of the blog? Yeah, you probably guessed it. I have an FAQ at the end, right? So just adding on to the things that we're talking about, right? So having those question-based structure, having clear headings all over the place, that again with the goal of helping the bots find your information easily. I have a question. I think
Who's not muted?
there you go. It's all good. It's all good. No problem. So,
It has to happen once. It has to happen
it's
once during any
yeah,
call.
that's
It has
okay.
to.
No problem. So, component number three is just being really, really clear about who you are and who your company is, depending on what the case is, or what your product is. And because um, it's helpful for the chatbots to find out that information as easily as possible, right? So, number one, clearly stating the name of your company, your location, and the industry that you're in every key page, and that probably means having it in the header or footer of your website. Uh, Explicitly describe your services, your product, your expertise area, and not just that, who it's for. Who is your target audience? Who is your target industry? Who that specific product or service is for? And being consistent, right? So for me, I can give an example. My old website says Elevate AI LLC, right? But I'm doing business as Elevate AI Consulting. And then sometimes I just call it Elevate AI for short, right? And so that was a mistake right there. Now I make sure that every single place where my company is possibly mentioned, I make sure that it says Elevate AI Consulting, right? The consistency matters. You want to continue creating that brand towards the bots, and also just being really clear about your offerings, right? So let's take a look at what that looks like in practice. Number one, of course, as is traditional, I have an about page. So my about page has, everything about me and my company. I make sure that it says Elevate AI Consulting. Again, with a question, right? Who is Elevate AI Consulting? The languages, and at the footer of my page, I have across my entire website my company address, a short description, a phone number, email. But then I go a little bit further than that, right? Again, remember, it's about establishing your entity and being really clear about who you are. So I went further than that. I created a whole page just about my credentials and certifications so that I can really establish that authority and the entity that I am. And also, I went another step further. Again, FAQ at the end, right, about all my different certifications and all that good stuff. And then I also created a citations page so that anytime that I get mentioned on the media or on the news, or there's a new article, or I get a new national accreditation or something like that, boom, I establish my business listings, company information, everything very, very, very clearly, right? I want to establish who I am, where I am, and then, as I mentioned, you also want to talk about who is your client, right? Who are your products for? So if you go to my services page, for example, and we take a look at my boot camps, for each one of my boot camp packages, where do I have it? Boom. So for each one of my packages, I have who is this package for? So this is ideal for pilot groups. This is ideal for groups building AI literacy. This is ideal for leaders interested in discovery tools. This is ideal for senior executives, right? So just really making sure that you're listing exactly who your products are for and who you are, so that again, ChatGPT can easily find that and recommend it for you, right? When somebody asks. So establishing that clear entity of who you are is really going to help. And
Real quick, did we have any questions or anything so far, guys? I know we're gonna have a little bit of time at the end, but just want
yeah,
to take a quick break. Maybe let Tiago have a sip of water or something.
I'll drink my coffee.
There you go. All right. Any questions so far? Like how is this landing? Like, is this helpful? You guys getting some out of this so far?
I hope that's a yes, but everybody's muted. That's okay. I'm gonna assume that's a yes, Dan.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Cool.
Component number four, right? So one thing that I want you to notice is that it's building, right? Everything that I'm saying is adding to the point before. And the entire point of the whole thing is to establish authority and credibility, right? Which is actually point number four, which I showed already a little bit on the previous slide, right? Establishing your credibility and your authority. Let's think about this for a second, right? Because it's interesting. When ChatGPT provides an answer, well, let's not talk about ChatGPT. Let's talk about Alexa, right? Because it's an even more extreme example. When you ask ChatGPT, it may give you 2 or 3 different options, as we mentioned, with one top recommendation. When you talk to Alexa or Siri, it's even more critical that you are the answer, right? Because Alexa is really just providing the one answer, right? ChatGPT may provide you 2 or 3 there in the text. Alexa is providing one. Like, Alexa, give me lawn, laundry place nearby, and Alexa is going to provide the one laundry place nearby that it thinks is the best for you, right? And so you really want to establish your credentials and qualifications. You need to have social proof, right? So one of the biggest things that makes a difference is actually having testimonials, client logos, and reviews. Reviews are extremely important. Case studies and results are extremely important, and linking out to reputable institutions, as well as having reputable institutions link into your page. So let me show you again what that looks like in practice. Number one, I already showed you my credentials and certifications page, right? It's essentially like a recreation of my LinkedIn page, right? I have my education, my professional certifications, all the different training programs that I do throughout the year. I added them all here. I make sure that I link to all of those institutions, right? And so that, again, linking out to reputable institutions, I'm linking out to Innovating with AI, I'm linking out to the Miami-Dade LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce that I'm a member, linking out to the business school where I got my MBA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So that is one of the things. The other thing also is, as I mentioned, testimonials and reviews are extremely important. So I accomplished that by highly encouraging everybody who attends my workshops to leave a review, which I will also ask you at the end. Help me out with my AEO by leaving me a review at the end if you've enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, go leave Dan a review because it's his fault that he brought me in.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. I see how it is. It's all right. I saw you linking a lot to 100 School. So there's a lot of
Yes.
people on this call that I actually met by doing 100 School together, which is awesome. So, and who told you about 100 School?
Uh, was that you? Actually, I'm not sure. Is that what you're trying
Yeah,
to get at?
yeah.
Okay.
I was fishing for the answer on that one.
Yes,
Yes,
it was
I
fun.
love 100 School.
Me too.
And if anybody doesn't know what that is, I know a lot of people on this call, but 100 School is a free program that I know I've met a lot of people from this. It's amazing, amazing learning. Max does great things over there, and it's completely free, which I love about it. Like every single one of these lessons, 14 days, 7 days. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm plugging 100 School right now because it's free and it's amazing. So, all right,
It's
never mind.
awesome resource. I recommend it to everybody also. So again, linking out, listing out, establishing your authority, right? Getting reviews from certified sources, so Google Maps, Yelp, Trustpilot, all of these other places wherever you can get reviews, and highly encouraging your clients to um, leave you reviews and testimonials where possible. And then, as I mentioned, linking out to external citations and trustworthy sources as well, right? Credible sources. So again, trying to establish yourself as the authority so that Alexa or Siri or ChatGPT or any tool can give you or your brand or your product as the authority on whatever the client is asking about, if you're the authority on the subject, right? Number five is actually just an internal linking strategy. You want to create essentially a web of links within your website. So why that matters is that internal links help the AI model understand the relationships between the topics on your websites and strengthen the associations between them. So really, as I mentioned, creating a web of content across your website. So let me show you how I actually accomplish that, because this one is actually easier to show than to actually explain. So one of the things that I did, of course, as I mentioned, it's important to have case studies, right, and show results. So I make sure, for example, I have an actual case studies page that links back to my service pages so that you can come here and download the case studies, or you can go to my services and then find my case studies actually within the service pages, right? So I actually do like a back and forth type of linking, right? In my blogs, I make sure that I'm always referencing one of my old blog posts or my service pages, right? So here you can see somewhere in the middle of my blog, I wrote that I specialize in these things, and I'm linking back to those service pages, right? I am talking about how, let me see, let me find another one here. Oh, I don't know which one it is, but essentially I'm making sure that within all of my blog posts, this one here actually, that within all of my blog posts, here we go, I am linking to old blog posts, right? Linking to service pages. Essentially, as I mentioned, creating this web of interconnectivity within my own website in order to help the AI bots understand how that content actually all connects together, right? Another way that I accomplish that is by at the bottom of every one of my blog posts, I link to recent posts, right? I make sure that it automatically has an explore more with linking to some of my other relevant pages to that post, right? And so it's really thinking about finding those opportunities to continue creating that web that we're trying to create in order to inform the chatbots. And core component number 6 is inclusive signals, different languages that you may speak or service, different your geographic reach, language tags, language support. So all of these things, if you can add them to your website, essentially just making it really clear about the type of inclusivity that your company can actually bring or service, I should say. So whether that means different languages, different diversity of clients, reaching out to specific niche groups. These are things that you want to be very specific in your website as well. And again, I accomplish that by on my own website, making sure that one of the first things in my case that I have here is the fact that I do deliver in Portuguese and Spanish as well as English, making sure that I have, my service area here as Miami, Florida, but servicing worldwide, mentioning those things in my different blog posts, mentioning the fact that my company is a member of the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce here in Miami, right? So again, adding that accessibility and inclusivity aspect to my brand because it is relevant to my brand, right? And so adding those things that are relevant and making sure that they're very clear on all over the website as well. And finally, and probably the most important component is actually in the backend. So this one is a little bit harder to show, but I did copy one and paste a code block here so you can actually just see what it looks like if you're interested. That's just called schemas and structured data. And what that means is just machine readable content that answer engines understand exactly what is on the page, and it can trigger richer results for them. So on my About Us page, I have an organization schema, and I learned all these things, that these things even existed, right? There's organization schemas, there are person schemas, there are all of those FAQ blocks that you saw on all my different pages. Well, guess what? There's an FAQ specific schema that you have to use. Services, events. My event page doesn't have one overall event schema. Every single one of the events that I have on there have their own schema, actually. I've gone really overboard with my AEO optimization, you guys. And so
How many times did you say schema in the last 30
yeah, oh
seconds?
my God, I know. I should have $1 for every time, right? Buy a coffee. So then, as you can see, all of that looks like is essentially formatted content that is structured in a specific way that the AI can read. accepted answers, what exactly is in this question, what exactly is in this answer. This all just lives in the back end of your website. It is essentially an extra layer on top of the code that already exists. And again, just makes your content much easier for the chatbots to actually scan and find, right? But this is actually, everything else is really, really going to help your AEO rankings. The schemas are the thing that's really going to take it to the next level. And so those are the 7 main components. They're not the only ones, but those are the main components that I personally have been working on and getting results from. As again, on top of the traditional SEO strategy, right? It's complementary to that strategy. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing clients making? Number one, unstructured content, right? So really long paragraphs without headings, without questions, without a clear hierarchy. That really just makes it impossible for the information extraction to actually happen by these scraping bots. Missing questions, right? So no FAQs, no question-oriented headings that match how your users might actually be searching for you. So again, it takes a little bit of pre-work and a little bit of strategy here, right? You have to anticipate what consumers might be asking and making sure that content is on your website. Not having the schema markups in the back end, obviously that's going to make it harder. Having weak authority, right? And so not having testimonials, not having proof points, not having anonymous content without credentials, those things are not going to help your credibility. Having poor entity clarity, right? So as I was giving the example before, inconsistent naming of your company, right? Abbreviations, missing locations, or vague descriptions of who you are, that's not going to help. And then having isolated pages just living out there on an island on their own, that is also not going to help your web of content that you're trying to create. You want to make sure that you're creating links between everything that you're posting in your website. So you want to start today, right? You're excited about this. You want to get on your website right now and you want to do something to help your AEO, right? These are the easiest steps that you can actually control and take yourself today. Number one is just having a clearly defined purpose. And this is obviously already just the best practice, period, right? But it's actually really going to help you improve your content. So clearly thinking about what is the challenge that you're helping your clients with, right? What is the pain point that your product helps with? Having that clearly defined and who it's for, what it's for, when it's for, and anticipating those questions on your website, right? Number two, working to increase your credibility and trustworthiness. So implementing strategies to gather positive reviews, positive posts, testimonials, overall brand sentiment from your clients. Those are things that you can implement. Maybe you do a marketing campaign to all of your clients, asking them for reviews. Maybe you implement something that ensures, you improve your reviews afterwards. That is something that you can actually control, but it takes time, right? So it's something that you can start working on today if it's not something that you're already doing. Number three is showing quantifiable results. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that I actually see companies not doing. So many companies have been in business 5, 10, 15 years and don't have any actual results or case studies on their website showing how they actually solve problems. That in itself is something that can be easily created as well if you have that client history and that product history, and adding that to your website is really going to help. And as I mentioned already before, adding those FAQs and TLDR sections to your website. The reason that I say that it's easy is because, again, work with your favorite AI tool in order to help you come up with those. You don't have to write them from scratch. Copy paste the content on your page into ChatGPT, tell it to generate an FAQ for you, and then post it on your page, right? And don't think about it too much. And that is probably one of the easiest steps that you can take that's going to make a really big difference today.
All right, real quick, before we move on, we had a question from David. He wants to know, how do you measure improvement and success in this area
Yeah.
besides just clients mentioning how they found you?
Yeah, so there are specific tools for tracking and how you actually do it. It's a little bit it's a bit complicated because what you're actually tracking is prompts. So you're essentially um, trying to think through what are the most common prompts that people will be searching for that you want to be the answer for, and then tracking those prompts over time. And so it just does take a little bit of time, but that's essentially what you're doing. You're making a choice of what are your three, four, five top prompts that you want to be the answer for, and you're tracking how often you are actually the answer to those prompts. So it's pretty interesting. Um, so I am so we're gonna share the slide decks as well, right then after or
Mhm.
the video. So
Yep.
here on the slides, I do have a little checklist for us that we can follow in case it's something that you want to start working on. And it's just a summary of all those different points that we just talked about in the previous slides. So I'm going to leave this in here for you as a quick and easy checklist that you can look at your content and see if it is meeting these requirements that are needed for AEO. And as far as my company, this is the approach that we usually take for people that come and usually work with us. Obviously, the first step is to just audit your content, see what's actually there, and then implementing the FAQ schemas in the back end on your main pages, your most visited pages, or your most important pages. I work with you to strengthen your authority, gather client testimonials, credentials, case studies, you name it. We really need to map your entities, right? As I was mentioning, making sure your naming is consistent, your location, your services, and all of these things. And then we work on building an internal linking strategy and creating that web for us. And then we monitor, right? We monitor and iterate. These things do take time to show a little bit of results. But the point really that I wanted to drive home, that Dan and I were talking about in the beginning, is that AEO is an opportunity right now, right, to lead in this new type of search, the AI-driven discovery. It is really about helping the AI systems help your clients, right? That's the best way to like look at it. You're helping the AI systems help people find you and your brand and your product because you are offering something of value and you want those clients to find you, right? And so it is about helping the AI help them find you. And the opportunity here is that there is a leveling of the playing field. And so that is the opportunity that we have ahead of us in 2026. And as just as a way of finishing here, I hope that you've enjoyed the presentation and got a lot out of it. As an exclusive to members of Dan's AI school here, I am offering a free 1 hour deep dive with me where we can take a look at your content, your SEO strategy, and make some recommendations for you. So I am offering a 1 hour session if you're here live today. Just make sure you reach out to me within the next 7 days, and we'll book for sometime in January. It doesn't have to happen within the 7 days, but just reach out to me. If you're not here today and you're watching this video online, uh, sorry that we missed you. Thank you for watching. And you still get a free 30-minute consultation with me as well. So just make sure that you mention Dan's AI school. And again, this is an exclusive offer here today. You just need to make sure that we have it booked within the next 7 days. And that is really it for me. If you guys would be so kind as to scan the QR code as well and leave me a quick review, it really helps my AEO if you enjoyed this session. And I will take any questions that you may have. And again, I just really thank you again, Dan, for having me in.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have one more question, but this is fun, like r running webinars with your friends and people
I
with
know.
actual like great content, like good stuff. Like we're learning together, and that's one of the reasons why I started my school is I know that I'm not an expert in everything, and AI is so extensive, and I love bringing in people and learning from each other. And thank you for joining. This is great. All right, so we did have a question, another one from David. So what are some of the sources that we can use that are reputable for monitoring? AI clicks has not been so great in his opinion. Aniko said SEMrush is pretty good. Do you know of any other ones?
Yeah, I use SEMrush as well.
Okay.
So there's a challenge in that is that SEMrush is expensive. And so for me, it makes sense at this point because I'm bringing in clients, right? And I'm tracking different projects. So yeah, SEMrush should really be number one. And unfortunately, they pretty much have a monopoly, and I will be totally transparent with everybody here. My husband works at SEMrush, and so I have a little bit of leg up there where he is tracking different things for me. His manager keeps deleting his project that he tracks my website and he keeps recreating it. And so I do have a little bit of an advantage there, but yeah, unfortunately I have to say SEMrush is basically the monopoly, not just on AEO but on SEO as well.
Mhm.
If your website is hosted on Wix or WordPress or one of these other bigger platforms, they do have some of that data in there for you included as well. So my website was previously posted on Wix, and they gave me all the, how many times my site had been visited by humans versus bots and crawled and things like that. So it depends on the platform that you're using as well.
Right. All right. We had a couple more questions here. Do you have a link version for the QR code of the feedback so I can do it on the laptop?
Yes, it just takes you to actually my Google Maps page. If you don't mind, you just Elevate AI Consulting on Google Maps if you're not able to scan that. But when you do get this presentation, the QR code actually, if you just click on it, it links to that page as well. So whatever works.
Got it. Okay. And actually, thanks, Stuart. Stuart just dropped it into.
Ah, thank you, Stuart.
Thanks, Stuart. All right. Excellent. Well, yeah, looks like we don't have any more questions. Looks like we're all set. And I got to get going because I got to get my kids ready for school.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much, Dan, for having me. This is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for joining and for attending. This has been great. And you mentioned 1 hour free, where Tiago will literally walk you through all of this. So he's doing this as a favor to me and everyone here, just to really bring value to my community. So if you want some help, if you want to talk to him and just bounce some ideas, an hour is quite a bit of time. So thank you, Tiago, for letting an hour for everyone, or a half hour if you're not here. But excellent. Well, thank
Absolutely.
you
Thank
all.
you, everybody. And yeah, let's be chatting on the school page. I look forward to being in touch with everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
Have a good day.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye.